Today's Maverick Move is all about courageous succession, purpose-driven leadership, and redefining what it means to step into a legend's shoes. Our guest, Bonni Pomish, became only the second CEO of Working Wardrobes in Orange County, California in 2022, following the iconic founder, Jerry Rosen, who held the role for an astonishing 32 years. But Bonni didn't just fill a role. She brought her own brand of bold, compassionate leadership to the table. With more than 25 years of experience in government and nonprofit sectors and a master's in family resources and human development, Bonni leads with heart, humility, and an unwavering belief in the power of people. She's a connector, a culture builder, and a student of life. Today, we'll talk about what it really takes to carry on a legacy while forging your own path, what it means to lead authentically, and the Maverick moves Bonni makes every day to empower individuals and communities through the life-changing mission of Working Wardrobes. My name is Gina L. Osborn, and I'm an Army veteran. I spent 6 years during the end of the Cold War as a counterintelligence agent. I was appointed as an FBI agent, and during my 22-year career, worked everything from Asian organized crime to terrorism. I became the Assistant Special Agent in charge of cyber and computer forensics. And then I came out of retirement and spent 2 years as the Safety and Security Officer at LA Metro. Now I'm here to help you make your Maverick move. Welcome to the show, Bonni.
Oh, thank you so much, Gina. It's so fun to be here with you.
For those out there who are not familiar with Working Wardrobes, tell us about your mission.
At Working Wardrobes, we believe that every person has a purpose and that it is truly our honor to help people harness their purpose and offer it into the world. We meet people often after they've experienced significant life and circumstantial challenges, and they are all have this one thing in common, which is they are overcoming some barrier, usually more than one, as they aim to achieve gainful employment. So we work with people on a very individualized basis to help them identify what are the assets you already have to promote in a resume, in an interview, in the marketplace. And then what we discover is what is the goal? What is it that you want to be when you grow up? Mm-hmm. And we use different tools to assess that, including guiding real-world career exploration. Sometimes we think we have a good idea and that what we think about that career is going to be amazing. And then you find out like, oh, I have to get up at 4 a.m. to do that. Maybe not, right? So we literally pair our clients also with people who are in the jobs they are interested in to find out more about them. We guide our clients through certification trainings, soft skill trainings, all sorts of what I think of as intellectual property. What are the things that you don't know that you need to know to be successful in that career? We work with our clients as a finishing touch of preparation for those interviews. It's literally in our name, right? Working Wardrobes. We have one-on-one personalized styling appointments where our clients literally have a physical exterior manifestation of the dream they are creating. And they literally have that moment where they see what's possible in the mirror looking back at them. We then work with our clients to match them with job opportunities. And that could be an apprenticeship, a work experience program, or a permanent position. And then we are in the long-term relationship business. So when they are ready to seek a salary advancement or a promotion, we are there with them for that, or even another career pivot or change. So soup to nuts, we are helping people overcome barriers to achieve gainful employment. And we're reaching over 5,000 people on that journey every year.
That is terrific. And what I love about this is you are really engaged with a community that is near and dear to my heart, our veterans.
Yeah.
So do you want to talk about how it is that you help the veterans?
Oh, I'd love to. I'm married to one and the child of one, so it's also very near and dear to my heart. I think about what it takes to sign up to be of service to the community. And then I add this layer of, and I'm willing to put my life on the line for that. Mm-hmm. I am so awed by that dedication and commitment, and have just great respect and honor to those who serve. So at Working Wardrobes, it is truly an honor to serve those who serve. Just next month, we're going to be aboard Camp Pendleton and offering a service for military spouses to prepare for the transition to the civilian world. We have a whole team of veterans that literally only serve veterans, and they do this work out of the county's Veteran Service Office. So anyone in Orange County coming to get help can literally be connected to Working Wardrobes in that regard. We do so many things to prepare and to help our military navigate this transition. Everything from how do you translate that military occupational specialty into a civilian speak resume? Mm-hmm. How do you literally promote the skills and assets that you gained in the military, but honing in on the parts that you really want to keep doing, mm-hmm. right? Mm-hmm. We help hundreds of veterans every year navigate the same transition. Something that kind of struck me when I came to Working Wardrobes, though, that was a little bit different than what I thought coming in, was I had all of our military like on this pedestal. What can I do? What can I do, right? And what I didn't know then is how similar their experience is to the experience of a person who was formerly incarcerated, and how navigating these transitions is a very ssimilar journey to voyage. When you think about the sort of controlled environment pieces of, you have a lot of control in, your own personal decision making, but being in the context of a community that is prescribed is very different. And it can be very overwhelming to navigate. At the same time, I have to procure my groceries. I have to prepare the meals. I have to take care of my rent, my utilities, like all of these things that were automatics in incarceration or in military service, right? And you add on to that the mental health challenges that many people face, all of us face every day, but that you add these layers of life or death, you add these layers of impact, and many come out with post-traumatic stress and are exacerbating the challenges of everyday life on a significant level.
Right. Well, I know Working Wardrobes, having lived in the Orange County community, everybody knows who Jerry Rosen is. Jerry was the founder and CEO of Working Wardrobes for about 32 years, 34 years, a long time. And when she retired, everyone was wondering, who are they going to get to fill her shoes? I was at a fundraising event where Jerry told everybody she needed a tractor in the audience, and someone says, I'll pay for it. It was like a $30,000 tractor. So that was the type of impact that she had. So what is it like coming in as a leader, as the CEO of an organization, knowing that you had somebody who had been there for the last 3 decades doing everything that she had done?
Jerry is an amazing human. And whenever I think about Jerry, I think about human power, the power we each possess to create an impact, to make a difference in the world. And, in 1990, Jerry chose to use her power to help women who had experienced domestic violence and dreamt of creating days of transformation, a day of self-esteem, an opportunity for women who were not feeling great about themselves to see themselves for their potential, their purpose in a new light, and to help bring the resources around them, the support system, the confidence building, but not just on the outside, on the inside too, that they could be self-sufficient and create self-sustaining success. A person who is able to own their power and share their purpose in the world, right? The sky is the limit. And I think, Jerry's a small physical person, but you're right, her shoes are huge. She created what we know today as Working Wardrobes, and it's a household name. And it's a household name because there are so many ways that the organization invites people to share their power to make a difference. Many engage as clothing donors, right? This is a huge part of how, people sort of get to know Working Wardrobes. Often it's through a clothing drive. Those accessories, those clothes, those shoes ultimately outfit our clients in those interview outfits, right? Corporations partner with us, and Jerry bridged so many relationships with corporations because not only can they hire our clients, but they can help train our clients. They can also bring dollars and volunteerism into the mission, and that's a great way for corporations to live their values. Jerry also was, incredibly impactful in catalyzing the power of the individual to make a difference, whether it was volunteering as I'm a retired HR professional and I want to help coach candidates on how to ace the interview, to volunteering. I have a passion for fashion and I want to volunteer in one of your stores, right? Jerry's shoes were so big because she invited people to walk in their shoes and to let their shoes be as big as they were. When I was selected to be her successor at the end of 2021, I got to even observe Jerry leading the organization for the last few months. And she is bigger than life again, but a small person. Mm-hmm. So I think what Jerry brings into the conversation is a huge legacy of what it is to take your power and to use it for good. I personally was invited by our board chair when I was hired to wear my own shoes. Mm-hmm. That the shoes that I was stepping into were not going to be anyone's but my own. Mm-hmm. And when I think back on this, as a founder of an organization who ran it for 31 years, I think it's almost impossible to think of another person walking in those shoes, isn't it? I mean, this is not like, the red slippers in The Wizard of Oz. Like this. My point is, when we wear our own shoes, when we own and harness our own power, that's really where the magic happens. And so I'm so always grateful to Jerry for creating the space for not just me, for 130,000 people that have been impacted so far by working wardrobes to also wear their own shoes.
I love that. I love that. So you were just featured in Orange Coast Magazine as one of their 35 kick-ass women. And you are a maverick in my mind because you lead with vulnerability. Mm-hmm. And having been a woman in a male-dominated field for pretty much my entire career, 30 years or so, leading with vulnerability, that's really not something that you see very often because it takes a really strong person to be able to do that. So how did you come to this leadership style, and what does leading with vulnerability mean?
First of all, thank you. Mm-hmm. Thanks for acknowledging that it's scary. Mm-hmm. Thanks for acknowledging that I'm doing it. Mm-hmm. I think there are so many things to say about this. First of all, I am a lover of research and data, and I, in the early 2000s, really fell in love with the work that Gallup was doing about employee engagement and how that was changing business outcomes. And the sort of big takeaway of all of that for me was strengths-based approaches, that we each have a constellation of strengths that makes us who we are uniquely, and that you get so much more when you invest in a strength versus trying to shore up a weakness. That also, though, means that my constellation of who I am and what makes me me is very different than everyone else. And it is a scary, vulnerable thing to be ourselves because we often fear judgment and what's everyone else going to think. Most of us have, lots of dysfunction or trauma in our lives, and so we've learned the skill of people pleasing as a coping mechanism that gets us places, right? And that people pleasing is for another person, not for oneself. So when I think about the strengths constellation that I have, I think Marianne Williamson talks about this as natural intelligence, right? This thing that we're just like seeds know how to grow and become, whatever plant or whatever they are, right? That we're like kind of equipped with this intelligence that is uniquely us. Why would I mess with that? Why would I hold that back? And if the data is telling me that leaning into and shoring up those strengths and really building around them is what reaps the most results, then what a waste it would be for me to not share those. And then in a trusted capacity as a leader, then it is my responsibility to make sure that every other person that I have influence with knows that not only are they invited to share their unique constellation of strengths, their unique way of being, but that it's really our duty. Mm-hmm. And if we are showing up as our best selves, constantly improving, but letting that unique contribution to the world shine, that's where the magic is. And so it's scary often, Gina, because I am who I am, and that means there's no hiding. It also means that I make mistakes and I own those mistakes. Like if my intention is one thing, but my delivery is another, I have to be accountable for that, but learn from that and use it as also a palette for vulnerability. I often like to brag about the things that I'm wrong about with my team because I want them to know that I am fallible. I am not perfect, and neither are you. So let's be imperfect together and keep learning together, but keep, again, inviting and showing up with our true selves.
And that's where trust is built.
Totally.
Absolutely.
Totally.
Well, being in the military, my father was a Marine, and so the biggest joke that God played on my dad was giving him 2 girls. I think my sister was Jeffrey James, and I was Zane Lane. He already had names picked out for his boys, correct? Right. And just being in the military, my leadership style was lead from the front, lead from the front, lead from the front.
Yeah.
But I didn't become an authentic leader until I couldn't lead from the front because I found myself in a position where I didn't have the technical skills. I didn't have what all of the people who I was led. I didn't have the skills that they had. So I had to come up with, okay, well, what are my superpowers? So what are your superpowers?
I think you actually just kind of tapped into one of them. I think that because I am able to be myself and not try to be someone else, that I lead from example, and that invites vulnerability and it creates psychological safety. And that becomes one of my superpowers, is this ability to connect with people quickly. It's also because I aim to be fully present and not be, talking to you, but looking around the room or thinking about what the next thing that I'm going to say is. I learned so much from Stephen Covey about that, right? Like seeking to understand first instead of being understood. So I think one of my superpowers is this ability to connect with people, and it's coming from a very open heart and a really pure sense of discovery, curiosity, inquisitiveness, like, who are you, Gina? This is so fun to get to know you. Like, what's going on in there? So I think that creates this space for us to both be ourselves, and then that trust and that real connection can come from that. I also think that it's where the foundation of relationships is, and then where the magic happens is figuring out, again, that power, and how is that power that we each possess now going to come together and create something else that didn't exist before.
So was there a point in your life where you got it? Because a lot of people go through their entire careers without getting it.
Yeah.
Because being vulnerable, like you said, is scary. And there's that big fear element as to why it is people choose not to be vulnerable, why the lead from the front is really sort of polarizing because, you're up front and everybody else, and then there's that disconnect. But what you're talking about is this powerful place where you're okay with being vulnerable and it works, right? So I don't think, so what for our listener who is at that point where they're like, okay, I'm not necessarily leading authentically because I've never been comfortable being vulnerable. What is your advice for them?
My advice for you is to see in you what is that natural intelligence, and to not question it, because it's easier to see it in other people. And so maybe that's the place to start, is to discover in other people what is their power, be curious, right, to discover. And by seeing that in other people, to start to see that in yourself. I also think that judgment plays a big role in this, and we are inundated with information about how to judge ourselves and how to judge other people, right? We're really shown all the time, like what pretty looks like, what kind looks like, what success looks like. And is that true for you? I have a different shaped body. I have a different looking career. I have a different looking life than you. And it's great for me. It may not be what you want, but isn't that great for me that I have what I want, right? And so I think discovering other people and yourself with a curiosity and really an awe, a wonder of, wow, look at that creation. Just like we might marvel over, an interesting succulent or a rose or, a constellation that's naturally occurring, to see us humans as these naturally occurring miracles. Discover that, other people and in yourself.
Well, you are very curious, and you are a self-proclaimed student of life. And so how does that mindset, the fact that you're always learning, because so many people kind of get stuck in what they're doing every day and this is it. So, I mean, that's got to come with a freedom when you're viewing things from different, areas and light.
Yeah. I always, I often say, I don't know what I don't know, but I want to know, right? I'm so interested. I think, Gina, James Clear really introduced this concept about 1% improvements. And in my life, I'm a recovering perfectionist and I'm a recovering workaholic. And I work on those things all the time to be able to stop at enough, to know that I am enough, that I did enough, that I had enough. Those are some of my things that are going on for me. And so I think that 1% improvement idea that he presents, which is if you only improve 1% every day over the course of a year, it compounds like interest. And now you're at 37% better versus if you got 1% worse at something, it's only like a decline of about 7%. So I think for me, these two kind of concepts couple for me to know that I'm never going to arrive. At some point, I'm going to die and I'm still going to not know stuff. I'm going to finish this life experience with a full inbox and a full to-do list. And so while I'm here in embracing and accepting the imperfection in every day, because every day is perfectly imperfect, then I'm catalyzing the opportunity to just be in it, to be in it with, a constant sort of horizon of learning and improvement, a constant quest for discovery, but also an embracing of it's never going to be done. I'm never going to finish.
So as a recovering perfectionist, how are you different now than you were before?
Oh my goodness. This Mel Robbins book, Let Them, illustrates it so much better than I could articulate. But the idea that I'm hearing myself also, by the way, refer to these people that I learned from. And I think isn't that magical that these little morsels come into your ethos and then all of a sudden it's like a beacon for you. Letting it be okay that the way I approach it is different than the way you approach it, but that we get to the same outcome. I have learned so much about that from leading so many different people and so many different teams. I will never forget one of the early years, a person that I supervised saying to me, Bonni, I need you to let me fail. I know that you're trying to protect me. I know you're trying to not let me fall, but I need to fall. Let me do it. And that being an invitation of course, go for it. Do it your way, right? That's not my way. Do it your way. And it was fine. Gina, he was fine. Everything worked out great. Who was the biggest lesson in that story? Me, that it didn't need to be the way that I saw it. I think that those sort of moments of literally understanding that there are so many different ways to get to the end point. I also think marriage has been one of my best teachers. We do everything opposite. 100% of the things we do, we approach opposite and we still get to the same place. The laundry gets done and put away, but you can tell it's folded by two different people and that's just fine.
Yeah. So, going back to the perfectionism thing, I think that is such an energy killer. And I think our flaws are what make us extraordinary in my mind. But people sometimes can't get past that.
Yeah. It goes back to the judgmentalness though too. And I'm going to say some strong words here. But I think a lot of us struggle with self-hatred. And we're taught it from our culture that it's not okay to be this or that. And so we get inside of us this I'm not worthy, I'm not enoughness. And again, it's a people-pleasing strategy, right? Like if I do it this way, if I, aim for perfection, then I will be loved. And really the issue is, do I love myself? Do I feel worthy? And again, I go back to like, you are here. You are here. That makes you worthy. You exist. Starting there. What are the things that make you you?
You talk about growth from making mistakes.
Yeah.
So do you have any setbacks that you want to talk about that showed where you were able to grow from actually having that experience of failing?
Just one?
Just the best one, my dear, the best one that you have.
The best one. I don't know that I have a best one, Gina. I think one of my favorite yoga teachers talks about failure as first attempt in learning. And so I think there are so many times that I've missed the mark where I aimed in one direction, sometimes with positive results, sometimes not, right? And it always depends on kind of what I was defining the outcome to be. So not to question your question, but I will say that I don't know that failure actually ever happened, right? It was always learning. It was always learning how to show up better, how to show up differently, how to be more myself, how to be catalyzing the power of other people around me. I think about early on in my career and many of the mistakes that I made where the growth points were not capitalizing on people's strengths. I had the wrong person doing the wrong thing. But as soon as that person was in the right seat doing the right thing, they were extraordinary. There were often times too where if that wasn't the case, it was like, oh, I guess we're just not a match. Like, like any relationship, right? Like this employee and this company culture or this project, or it's never going to work. But that's okay. We learned that. Now you got to go find the thing that will work for you. I would say most of the things that I have experienced as failures have been really mismatch. Mismatch of task to person, mismatch of, culture and opportunity. But also those were successes, right? Because that was just a little sidestep and now we got back on the right course.
And you are here where you are because of it.
Always.
Yeah.
I think, you said something that was really powerful to me, and it was a question about regrets. And you said something to the effect of like, I don't live with regrets because I wouldn't be right here, right now in this moment if it wasn't for all of the moments that played into this. And so, no, I don't. I similarly, I don't think about these as failures. They were all opportunities to learn and hone.
You talked a little bit about something that it is ingrained in my leadership style. Everyone has to be on the right seat, on the right bus. Yeah. Because sometimes you're on the wrong bus, but in the right seat. Sometimes you're on the, vice versa. Yeah. But that is so important. So in my career, this isn't for you. Let's look over here. And it's amazing when people finally get on the right seat in the right bus. The magic happens. Have you seen that as well?
Oh, totally. Even for myself, I've seen it. But I think from a leadership perspective, we're trusted servants, right? We are trusted to have good judgment about these things and to create the opportunity for people to thrive doing what they do well. And there are mistakes in that too. And I think the most important thing is always to be open to the pivot, right? Okay, I see it. I see this is not right. Let's make a shift and to engage in that open, honest conversation about, I see that you're not able to perform at your peak here because I'm not getting what I want. I bet you're not getting what you want either. And having those vulnerable, trusting conversations is also where the magic happens because someone can then share with you that like, yeah, this is not the bus for me. I thought it was. Like it looked like it was on paper, but it's not. Or it could be this is the right place, but it's just not the right role. I would do better if I was fill in the blank and to be able to really use those. I think about it like puzzles. We have all these puzzle pieces to make the picture.
Yeah, I agree. 100%. Plus, as leaders, we're able to perform so much better when we're in the right seat. But again, how many times have you been a leader where you haven't been in the right seat, but you have to lead anyway?
Yeah.
I mean, that's the hard part. So what advice do you have for people who may be in that position? I would imagine finding a way to the right seat on the right bus.
I think it's really about using your voice and really being able to speak truth. Often speaking truth to power is where the issue is. And I think from those conversations, I've often discovered that we were both aiming in a direction we didn't necessarily need or want to go. And that could be converging. It could be diverging, right? It could be converging to, oh, we're going to head there together, or it could be, we're going to go separate ways. And both are good discoveries. The earlier, the better. But I think speaking truth to that discomfort, and I see this so much at Working Wardrobes. It is so hard to ask for help. It is probably the biggest barrier most of our clients face, is that just that initial ask for help. On the other side, when you're the one asking for help, if I were to say, Gina, will you help me with something, right? Like, you're already prepared to say yes, right? We don't think about it from the recipient's mindset. We just think about it from the fear of getting past, our own sort of being courageous. On the other side of that, people want to help. They want to be of service. And so I think that is also similar in this situation, where if you can speak the truth, if you can ask the question, are we really going to do this thing? Because I really think that we should be doing this thing. And to be open and brave and vulnerable to have that conversation, that's where the opening is, right? Because it can become then, oh, let's get on the same path, or no, you're right, we're going in different directions, and we can either realign or separate.
And where do you get this confidence? Where does your confidence come from?
Oh my goodness. I think about it actually more as a surrender than a confidence.
Oh my gosh.
That's why I'm laughing.
Yeah.
I am probably the least confident person. On the inside, I'm constantly questioning. My self-doubt voice is really loud. And as I shared, I'm constantly in this sort of recovery of perfection, and constantly, it's enough, Bonni. You were enough. You did enough. Like, I'm sure there's 52 other things I'm going to wish I said during this conversation, right? And I'm going to be telling myself, but it was enough. It was enough. It was enough. I think that I come across as confident because I'm just comfortable in my own skin enough. I'm comfortable enough for you to see that I'm just trying to be myself, and that's coming across as confidence to you because you want to feel that way too. This frequency, this energy field that I'm on, I work hard to harness it. I do a lot of practice in my life to make sure that my soul is fed so that I can show up as my best self. One of the best executive presence leadership trainings I ever went to was 30 minutes. It's actually available for free on the Working Wardrobes website. It was provided by Wendy Nickerson, who was a board member at the time. She's at the time the plant manager at Edwards Life Sciences. And she talked about all the things she learned through coaching and her leadership development. And this one concept I'm going to share is just one of the 30 minutes of just magic. But she talked about a triangle, and the triangle of your career having a foundation base. And that foundation base is where you're a solid contributor, right? You are doing the work. And that next layer of your career is the influencing layer, the layer where you're able to shift things and kind of move that direction, influence people, help them become their better selves. And at the pinnacle of the career is where you be, where you are. And she talked about how important it is how we show up. Well, for me to show up well means I have to take care of myself well. And for me, that means a daily exercise routine. And it also means some habits that I've developed. And I stack my habits so that I am doing the things that are everything from, my nutrition and my supplements to literally how I care for the vessel that takes my soul and my brain everywhere. To be able to think clearly, to be able to be aligned with where I'm telling you, I have a tendency to people please. I have a tendency to perfection. For me to show up imperfectly, vulnerably, is an effort that I hone. It's something I work to harness so that I am coming across to you as confident. But it's really just me being me.
But what does your workplace look like? I'm curious as to what does it look like when the CEO is vulnerable or is willing to be vulnerable?
Yeah.
What type of environment does that create?
We laugh together, we cry together, we journey together. And I think that the workplace environment really, you feel and see this similar alignment amongst a group of people. And the alignment is how we show up. We hire employees and volunteers based on our 4 core values. One of those core values is thoughtful relator, that we all care about discovering who each other is and tapping in, flexing who I am to meet you where you are, that we don't judge people based on their circumstances, their history, but on where they are today. We're humble achievers. We leave our ego at the door because we know that nothing happens unless we're all contributing our unique contributions to it. And we acknowledge this all the time, that this one thing wouldn't be possible for this one client we served if it wasn't for all 40 other people doing what they do well, from answering the phone to sorting the donations to getting them, all these pieces. Another one of our values that you see is integrity. And it's not just we do the right thing, but we talk about it, I think about it like earthquakes and structural integrity. We're building things to last. We all care about doing what we do today, not in a way that fixes it for a minute, but that gives you the skills that you can sustain on your own. And we're building systems at Working Wardrobes, like the infrastructure of the company, but also for the people we serve so that they will last a lifetime. We teach transferable skills because we want them to be able to use across industries, across occupations. This is true for our staff as well. And our final value that we hire for and that you see exhibited and you feel it is grit. We don't talk about grit, though, as like the white knuckle, get through it grit. Mm-hmm. We talk about it, woohoo, sense of adventure grit. Like, I don't know what's around that corner, but imagine you're on a mountain bike on the trail and it's like, I know I'm going to get there. What's happening next? Ooh, what's that? Ooh, how are we going to get over that? And so there's a real sense of teamwork and camaraderie that comes with all of that. But those values are pervasive throughout every morsel of the physical space, and really where you see it and feel it is how we treat each other.
Mm-hmm. And the outcome. I mean, when you have a solid team like that, and that's why it's so important, that trust, that vulnerability, that reliance on others and helping others and accepting help from others. I mean, that's what a true team is all about.
And community, too. It's just like a bigger version of it, right? And so I think about that Gandhi quote, right? Like to be the change that you're seeking, to think about like, how do you want people to treat you? Well, show up that way. One of the big lessons I learned in college, just from a professor, was really about when you walk down the street, what makes you feel better? Do you feel better when someone makes eye contact and smiles? Yeah, I feel a lot better. So guess what I do a lot of? I make a lot of eye contact. I give a lot of smiles. And I often think about that at the grocery store line and, traffic. How we treat each other, strangers, also matters. It's creating the community that we swim in. And so if I'm honking and being aggressive and doing things, like that's an invitation to treat me that way? No, thank you.
Yeah, that is very true. I mean, when you think about it, when you think about what it is that you want. So as the CEO, I mean, you're at the top of your game. What lessons or what advice do you have for people trying to get into those big roles?
Oh, well, I would start out by being really clear about what you want, like why. What is it that you're really after? When you were saying that, I was thinking like a little bit shirking. I don't really like the title. I think there's like all this connotation that comes with the roles that we assign in the world. What are you after? Are you after, making an impact? Are you after inspiring people? Are you after, what's the thing that you're really after? Because there are so many roles and ways to achieve that outcome that you're seeking. If it's to lead, then my advice would be to make the mistakes, acknowledge them, let them be known, and let people know not just that you made the mistake, but what you learned from it. More recently, we had an event that one of my colleagues, I had a vision for the event. She had a completely different vision for the event. Thank goodness we did not listen to me and we listened to her, and it was magnificent. Gina, I make sure to tell that story often because I want people to know that I make mistakes. I'm not always going to be right. I'm often asking, am I wrong? And I'll say something, right? I'm constantly inviting input and that openness. And I think if the leadership role is what you're looking for, then to learn a lot and speak a lot of it. It's not just the influence, right? Because by sharing our lessons, we both get to learn from them and make new mistakes. But I also think that it is really, to be a leader is inviting you to be a good human. And you were talking about leading from the front. I talk about lead by example, that I want to be the change I'm seeking in the world. I want to be that place where you do feel safe and that you can be yourself. That might not be another leader's aim, and that's fine. But whatever you're going to do, be a good one. And so aim for what it is you're really seeking, knowing that it may not be that role. It might be another way that you can achieve that outcome. And really show up as a good human.
And there's opportunities to lead in every aspect of life, regardless of what level you are. When I was at LA Metro, some of the best leaders that I observed at LA Metro were the bus operators. Because the bus operators, they were the captain of their ship. They ran that tight ship. And they had every leadership skill imaginable because they were dealing with people every day. They were dealing with traffic every day. They had to get people to where they needed to be on time. But it doesn't matter what position you're in. If you want to be a leader, start right now where you're at.
Yeah, with you. May I share a quick story?
Yeah, of course.
We have a client, you just mentioned the bus operator, and I have to share this story. I met Emmanuel on the day that he got his citizenship for the United States, and he was so proudly displaying the certificate. I mean, he was literally walking around the office with it. His dream was to create that culture, a workplace culture on a bus that would allow him to do what he does, loves driving, have the opportunity to have that power, that control to create moment makers, day makers. Like, I might be the first smile and eyes you get today, right? Getting on that bus. And maybe you're not looking forward to the day ahead, but you're going to start to look forward to seeing me, right? That power we have to light up other people. And the idea that Emmanuel came to this country wanting the American dream, right? And he's had barrier after barrier, obstacle after obstacle. He is living out of his car and pursuing this certification with Working Wardrobe's help, getting the support he needs for critical needs assistance. And ultimately, what's he doing? He's giving back every day that he creates. That bubble, that utopia on the bus is under his control to create and give people not just a safe ride, but the opportunity to be in a little nest.
Yeah, and the confidence that comes with that. I mean, if you want to be a leader, watch a bus operator.
Right?
Definitely.
Love that you see that and know that.
Oh my gosh. And one time I was doing a ride along with some of my transit security officers, and I got on the bus. I always introduced myself as the chief safety and security officer, gave him my card. So I got on a bus, female bus operator, gave her my card. She just looked at me. I go back to the back, and the next thing you know, I hear, Gina! And I'm like, what? And I'm like running up, yes, what can I do for you? Because that's the way. And she wanted to know, what am I doing to keep her safe? What am I doing for this? What am I doing for that? And I just absolutely love that. So you can be a leader anywhere you go.
Amen to that.
Yeah. So what can we do to help you in this amazing mission that you do?
Thank you for asking. I mentioned some of the ideas. If you have time, if you have a talent, or if you have dollars, treasure, these are all three ways that you can contribute to Working Wardrobe's mission. We are all wearing clothes. Well, on the outside world, we're wearing clothes. If you are done with those gently loved clothes and are ready to give them a second life, keep them out of landfills, but use them to help people get jobs, donate your clothes, your accessories, your shoes, your purses, your jewelry, any of these items, scarves, ties, all of it is put to good use at Working Wardrobes. Another way you can help is, you might have a training that you do all the time. Maybe it's like your sales team training. Maybe it's your leadership training. If you would offer that to us and let us record it, it could be part of our digital library that we offer to our clients. Maybe it's something for our staff. Another way, and probably the most efficient way to help, is to donate dollars. Those dollars literally make it so that our clients do not pay for the services they receive. And sometimes the thing that they need most is a car repair. Sometimes the thing they need most is help with the deposit for their rent. Sometimes those dollars are literally to help that career navigator guide a person for 6 weeks, 6 months. Again, we're back 6 years later for a promotion, right? This long-term relationship that we have with our clients requires people who we can count on to lead from their seat and help that person who is being so brave asking for help. Another way you can help is if you're an employer, to let us know what jobs you have that our clients might be able to apply for. And you're going to know that this candidate was prepared at Working Wardrobes. They're a good quality candidate. We have always the need for stylists. There's this magical moment. I'm thinking about Emmanuel's now, as he's in that bus driver certification training program, he had his wardrobing appointment where he gets styled head to toe into an outfit, interview ready. Seeing Emmanuel see himself in the mirror in that suit was like seeing his future in a ball, right? He saw a physical manifestation of what was possible and that what he had been dreaming of. Mm-hmm. If you have a passion for fashion and you want to help style people in these beautiful outfits that make them interview ready, that's a wonderful way to give back. If you're a corporation and you want to do a volunteer activity as a group, that's another great way. Our donation center processes over 500,000 items every year, and we need help doing that, making sure there's all the buttons and there's no ring around the collar and all of the things. We also have stores, retail stores where people can help and, style customers, or you can help on sort of the back end, right? Restocking, even, at the cash register, if you will. There are a million ways you can help Working Wardrobes. I just invite you to check out our website, workingwardrobes.org, and you can probably get a few ideas or more of ways that you can make a difference.
And I will be there at Camp Pendleton styling people.
Yes.
That'll be fun. I'm looking forward to that so much.
It's magical. It's absolutely magical to have that kind of, it's brief but deep. And I think, when we put on clothes, they are like a representation of us, right? And our brains are, we make a first impression once. Our brains are built for survival, right? Like sort of the reptilian side of our brain is, fight, flight, yes, no, in, out. And that is indicative in the first impression because you have to catalyze that moment in that reptilian side of the other person's brain that's making snap judgments. Are you safe? Are you good, right? So when you think about styling a person, it's really creating a doorway. You're making a physical manifestation of what they want to show you on the inside. And to help them make the most of that first impression creates opportunity in that moment. How we represent ourselves on the outside, it's just a manifestation of what's inside.
I just gave a TED Talk on Sunday, and it was talking about breakthrough success, and I had 3 Maverick Moves. So tell me a Maverick move that you have made or someone can make in order to get closer to that breakthrough success.
Oh, I think we've talked about one of mine, which was succeeding a founder. Pretty brave to step into those shoes or to wear my own shoes alongside. Another Maverick move I made was actually coming here to California. I came without a job, without a business, without a real source of income. And that was a pretty vulnerable move, but I knew that I had faith that it was going to be okay and that I would find my way. What I discovered was that I found that way by connecting with people. For me, coming to a stranger in a strange land, I came to this place not knowing anyone and just made a very conscious choice to build a network by joining a community of faith. And from there, this web of relationships have become not just the core of my relationships here, but also the place that my career kind of got its legs again, if you will, in a totally different industry. I was working in the government for a school district before. I was leading all of everything that was outside of the classroom. So anything that was entrepreneurial to make money for the district, all the entitlement grants, all the tuition-based programs, all of that. And I came here thinking I'll start a business and I'll do more training and more strategic planning, things that I loved. But I think that the purpose that I needed to live out was different. And I was able to do those things, but in the context of a larger position. I ended up working there for 12 years in lots of different capacities. But the Maverick move was taking the leap of faith And knowing that I was taking really a bet on myself, that I would figure it out, that I would be of service, that the opportunity to be of service, I would find it would find me. That leap of faith with purpose, knowing that my purpose, my future would be fulfilled.
The reason why I wanted to have you on this show is because you are a giant ball of light. And you not only help the community, you help everyone who comes into contact with you. And so it has been a pleasure to have you on the show, Bonni. Thank you for coming.
Oh, Gina, thank you. Right back at you. Big time. Thank you.
Making Maverick Moves with Gina L. Osborn is produced and edited by Zill Media. Connect with us on social media at ginalosborn.com/makingmaverickmoves. Don't miss an episode. Subscribe to Making Maverick Moves wherever you get your podcasts.